What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Bridging the Gap podcast. We are back with a bang. It's been a little minute. I do like to keep these podcasts very valuable, and I don't want to just rant shit. I could rant shit every single week, and it would probably not have too much substance. But I want to make sure that I give a lot of substance, I give a lot of value, and a lot gets done in these podcasts. And I don't want things to have happened to me in between podcasts. Not necessarily big life-changing events, but just things that I can talk about and things that you guys would be interested in following me. Obviously, I'd like to think that you kind of get what I do, and things have definitely been happening. So I started steroids. For any of you guys that didn't know, I'm a competitive bodybuilder. I've competed naturally for 6 years. I've competed over the last 3 years. I've competed 15, maybe 16 times. And I've done pretty well. Like, I've competed pretty well. I've competed against pretty much people who are natural, but obviously it's not been a test. I've never competed in a tested event, but I've competed against people who are pretty much natural. You can guarantee they're natural. I've competed against people who aren't natural, and I've been natural. But now is the time for me to step up. I've been through a lot of life-changing events this year that have brought me to this conclusion. For those of you guys that haven't seen, I do have a full video, about 15 minutes worth of video on my YouTube channel titled My Decision to Take Steroids. So if you do want to have a gander, you do want to have a look, go have a look, and you shall see exactly my reasoning, exactly why. But the short and short of it is, I want to be an IFBB pro, I want to be on that Olympia stage, and it is a step I need to take, and it's a step I've taken. So I'm officially not natural. I've officially injected my first and second dose of testosterone enanthate. I am running a testosterone enanthate 250 milligrams. A lot of people refer to, how many mil are you taking? It doesn't matter how many mil you're taking. It matters about the milligrams, because in 1 mil you can either have 250 milligrams of testosterone, or you can have 400. I think you can even get 500 now. I'd be a bit hesitant for that. But you can get up to 400 milligrams of testosterone in 1 mil, which is obviously 150 milligrams more than 250 milligrams. So when people say how many mil you're on, that doesn't really matter. It's all about the milligrams. So I'm on 250 milligrams, which is a very conservative dose. In fact, a lot of people would quote unquote cruise on this dose. I know my boy TM Cycles just cruised on 250 milligrams of testosterone. But as a natural athlete, I obviously have a baseline testosterone, which I got done first with Medichecks. Got a full hormone panel. I actually scored very high on it. I was very, very high on the end of testosterone, which is pretty cool. I didn't expect it. I've always been low. My thyroid was great, considering I've competed a lot. And everything was great, and it gave me the green light to go ahead. So ideally, this 250 milligram dose will double my natural testosterone, will double my testosterone test, which I will again take in 4 to 5 weeks. I currently split the 250 milligrams into 2 doses of 125, which I jab. I hate saying that word. Jab is such an unpolite word. Neither is injection. Injection's a bit more polite. I inject Mondays and Thursdays. I did my first one last Thursday into the glute, and quite frankly, it hurt like fuck. It really, really hurt. I used an orange insulin pen. In hindsight, I don't think that's long enough to get through my glute subcutaneous fat, because I had a lot of pain, and generally a lot of pain is associated with injecting into the subcutaneous fat, as there is pain receptors there, whereas in intramuscular, intra meaning in, there aren't any pain receptors. So actually, when I did my delt on Monday, I thought maybe this one will actually go better because there's less body fat to go through. And that was indeed the fact. I jabbed early Monday, and by the evening, it was a little bit sore, a bit like a dead arm. And today, like, it's better than yesterday. It's still a little bit sore, but it wouldn't stop me from doing anything. When I did the glute on Thursday, it fucking hurt. Like, I was limping. I couldn't even like brush over it. And I was saying to my girlfriend at the time, I was like, fuck me, if it's like this every time, I don't think I can do it. And then I was panicking and I was like, fuck, I've just jabbed this testosterone in me and it's too painful for me to take. I can't do this twice a week, every single week for the foreseeable future. I was thinking, fuck, and now I can't compete naturally. And I was just going around in my head like so much. You can imagine what I was doing if I'd panicked, because I was like, this is too painful. Because honestly, like I could barely touch my glute area. It wasn't that swollen. It was swollen, but it wasn't like, I didn't have like a cyst or anything. I didn't have a pooling of the liquid where the injection site. In fact, the injection site didn't hurt that much. It was more like the muscle just kind of felt like a spasm. But I don't know whether that would just be like the oil dripping down under the subcutaneous fat and just nailing all of those pain receptors, because it was fucking painful. So I was panicking a little bit, but after this shoulder, I am buzzing because it really didn't hurt at all. I'm gonna do my leg next, as it is definitely ideal to rotate injection sites. Now, the reason why we inject rotation sites is, one, because of scar tissue. If you constantly inject the same place, you will just build back like a hard layer of scar tissue. It's not necessarily a problem. You'll just kind of get little lumps and bumps here and there. But generally, like, you don't want to be feeling that pain in the same place every time. Like, I couldn't think, like, I did my right glute Thursday. I couldn't even think about doing my left glute Monday. I was like, oh, fuck me if it hurts like this again. But now I've done my left delt. I feel pretty good, which means I'll definitely try my leg next, and then I might try something else, like a lat. I know you can use a few different places, but I'm probably going to start with leg delt glute, because that means twice a week. Injections, I wouldn't get back to the same spot for 3 weeks, which I think would probably remove a big chance of getting scar tissue and a big chance of getting any kind of build up. But generally, I'm feeling very confident in everything now. Like, I feel like I'm versed in how to inject, and I'm not worried about the next one. But I was worried about Monday at the time. I am going to run 250 milligrams indefinitely, so until competition. The only way that will change is if in 4 to 5 weeks my test results come back, once my blood plasma levels have peaked of testosterone. Obviously, every jab we take, our testosterone in the body will rise. So every jab, it will go up a little bit, go up a little bit, go up a little bit. And depending on where your half-life is of your ester, so cypionate is a little bit less than an enanthate, and then a propionate is a very fast one. You would probably jab every other day, because the half-life is like 4 days, I think, and then like 5-6 days on the cypriot, and then cypionate, and then like a 7 to 8 days, depending on the person, for the enanthate. So I jab every 4 days to keep that peaking stable, and because obviously as you jab on day 1, you go up, on day 2 you go up, day 3 you go up, you go all the way up until your half-life, which is 7 days, and then obviously you've started that crash, but you want to keep that going up. You don't want any crash. So yeah, and when my test results come back in 4 to 5 weeks, we have a goal. Like, I have a goal of where I want my testosterone to be, and I want to be doubling it. Really, I was about 21.9 nanomoles per liter, so I want to be aiming for 40. If I'm kind of low to mid 30s, I know that my dose needs to go up. And this is something that people just don't even do. They just prescribe what they're going to do, and this is what they're going to do. They don't know what it's doing to their bloods. They don't know what it's doing to their hormone panel. And this is something that I will be taking charge of. So I know where my hormone lie naturally. I know where I want to be unnaturally. And if it's not there, I will go up. But I'm pretty damn confident, me and Callum are pretty damn confident that it will be there. Which means I will just run 250, because once I'm up towards 40 to 45 nanomoles per liter, my muscle building capacity is double, if not triple. So pushing that up and keeping that there, keeping that stable is going to be very, very good, because The reason why people get side effects, the main reason why people get side effects, is from inconsistency, changing doses, irregular dosing, and then AI use. So from that blood test, after 4 to 5 weeks, when my blood plasma levels have peaked, I will see what my estrogen has done. We'll see how far it's gone up, how much of the testosterone has aromatase, and from that I can prescribe an AI, an anti-estrogen, and in the form of Arimidex. And I can choose half tablet, quarter of a tablet, whole tablet, depending how much. Obviously, the higher I've aromatized, my higher capacity for aromatization, the higher I'll need my anti-estrogen to be. So you got to be on top of these things. People are just, the amount of people that message me saying, oh, the perfect cycle is 400 this, 500 this, and 1 AI, and 1 milligram of Arimidex every other day. How do you know I need that? I might be a boss in terms of aromatizing testosterone, and none of it gets aromatized. I just use it all. Or I might be a shithouse, and I might, aromatize loads of it, and then you might need more than a milligram every other day, or whatever it is, a milligram every other day. So these things need to be monitored, and people aren't monitoring them, and it is a shame, and it's where the side effects come from. But there are some side effects that you cannot get away from. For one of them, it is testicle atrophy. So my nuts will get smaller. Fun fact, me and my girlfriend thought it'd be funny to take a picture of my nuts before. So we did that. We took a picture of my nuts before, and in 3 to 4 weeks, depending on the atrophy, I'll take another picture and I'll compare. It'd be so funny to see that comparison. I'm fine with that. It's just a necessary, whatever. The reason why that happens is because we essentially close off our HPTA axis, which is our brain signal to tell the balls to keep producing sperm, like functioning spermicidal genesis, I think it's called. You have to quote me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure I'm wrong on that. You can run something called HCG, human chorionic gonadotropin, which can help keep that HPT axis there, and it can keep your balls fuller. But really, it doesn't have any other effect other than just keeping your balls full of sperm. It doesn't have any effect on fertility, really. And I know I've got a lot of questions about fertility. Am I worried? Most people seem to think that you start injecting steroids, you're not going to have kids. That is not the case. Ronnie Coleman, Dorian Yates, fuck me, I could name 10 other people. They've all had their kids on cycle. I think, what's his name? Ronnie Coleman had his fucking kids 3 weeks out from the Olympia, so he'd obviously been banging on cycle. And they're absolutely fine. So I do think the risk is there. But I do think the risk is very, very low in comparison to what the social stigma is. And the social stigma is an absolute fuckery. The people that have been messaging me, some of them have been very, very, very harsh things, yeah? And we can ignore those, they're fine. We can rule those ones out for idiocy. But the genuine people who have been like, aren't you worried about fertility? Aren't you worried about your liver? Aren't you worried about getting heart attacks and all this? It's because of the social stigma, and it's because no one fucking talks about it. It's because no one is open about. Well, there are people now. JP, Callum, TM Cycles, and now me. We talk about it. They talk about it. They talk about the effects. They talk about the doses. They talk about what actually happens on a physiological level, on a biological level. Another guy you can follow is Dr. Dean STM on Instagram. He is absolutely phenomenal. He goes into the pharmacology of steroids very, very detailed. It is a little bit hard to understand him at first, but once you kind of listen to it a few times and you get the gist of it and you understand the pharmacology, you understand that the risk is not necessarily massive at all. Like, people are going crazy about it. And something I wanted to bring up and compare was that, yeah, I've had a few negative comments about talking about steroids, lots and lots of positive ones, and then the social stigma of what people are thinking about steroids. Is that, how do people justify fucking cigarettes and alcohol and all that kind of shit? 480,000 people die because of cigarettes each year in the US. That is unbelievable. 8,000 people die directly from alcohol in the UK per year. 8,000 people. Do you know how many people die directly from steroids? Fucking not even 10% of that. Like, people do die from steroids from abuse. People can die from steroids for abuse. But it is exactly that, abuse. Arguably, cigarettes is abuse. In fact, no. Fuck off. If you're just smoking cigarettes, they're not worth it. Cigarettes are just literally causing you harm. It's not really a risk worth thing to take. Alcohol, yes, of course, you get the fun side. And irregularly drinking is not going to have a bad effect on you whatsoever, in my opinion. We are phenomenal machines. Our biological value is unreal, what we can do, you know? I mean, I hate to draw the comparison here, and apologies if this offends anyone, but I often think about crack addicts, heroin addicts, who, you know, proper junkies who have been smashing it for 10 to 15 years, eating whatever they can find, you know, drinking fizzy drinks, not drinking any water, having probably the worst hygiene, sharing needles, putting that substance in their body, that toxic substance in their body for like 10 to 15 years. And then you look at a recovered addict and you think, damn, like, you can fucking recover well, you know? And I think what a beautiful machine the body is. You can do that damage for 10 to 15 years. Don't get me wrong, they're going to have repercussions down the line. But what a recovery people can make. And that's what I like to draw the comparison to with steroids, and things like marijuana. In fact, marijuana is even worse. Cannabis is even worse. 0 people have ever been attributed to death from cannabis, other than probably something ridiculous like drinking and smoking and doing coke at the same time, and they died because of the coke, and then they blame weed, you know. 0 people ever. It is impossible to overdose. Okay, it's not impossible, but I fucking dare you to try and overdose on cannabis. You're going to fall asleep before you can overdose. It's something crazy like 73,000 joints. So good luck. I mean, I've tried and it's not worked. So I do think people need to put it into perspective when they do condemn steroids, they do condemn things like cannabis. Fucking look at the legal things. You do know that from like 24 paracetamol, people can rupture their liver and kidneys and completely die. Like, done. 24, you can have a bad reaction, you know. You can buy that in 1 packet, let alone being able to buy 10 packets, you know. It's ridiculous. Many pharmaceutical drugs will kill you faster than any steroid will, especially when you do steroids safely. But what I'm trying to get at here is just the social stigma around it, and I'm trying to alleviate the problem. My goal right now is to be the poster boy, if I can even self-proclaim that, is to be the forefront, along with the great people that are already doing it, for transitioning from natural bodybuilding to unnatural bodybuilding, how to do it properly, what age to do it, what muscle maturity, what training age, what nutritional knowledge you have you competed, how do you know how to gain muscle? I know all these things. I know the general consensus of every single mechanism of bodybuilding. Yes, mechanisms change. Yes, new ideas come. Yes, new research comes. But we have a general consensus among the elite. There is definitely a general consensus of what goes. For example, calorie deficit means you get leaner. Calorie surplus means you gain. Training performance needs to be maximized. You know, all these kind of things that I preach about all the time. You need to have a very good understanding of these before you enter a life-changing experience. And then I want people to understand that there is a fucking risk of infertility. There is. There is a real risk of infertility. Not a big risk. I'm just saying, people put this in them without knowing that could be the last time that they have the ability to have kids. And they don't realize, and they're just doing it to get big. They're not doing it for athletic purposes. They're not doing it to be the best in the world. They're not doing it for any other reason other than to just get bigger. And if you're fine with that and you understand the repercussions, the side effects, the possible side effects, then that's fine. I'm so happy with that. I'm not here to say you can take steroids, you can't take steroids. You should only take steroids if you want to be an IFBB pro. No. Anyone can take steroids the same way anyone can fucking snort cocaine. You know the risks, you understand the risk, but I'm here to try and inform you when the best time to do it to get the maximum results. alongside every single health precaution, every single health step you need to take to stay the healthiest, best version of yourself. That comes with blood tests, that comes with regular blood tests, that comes with blood pressure, that comes with blood glucose, that comes with heart rate variability. These are all things that I track every single day, and I strongly believe anyone taking steroids should do these same things, whether you're going to be Mr. Olympia or not. So I hope you don't take that the wrong way. People listening to this and you're taking steroids and you don't compete. I don't give a shit. I think you should, if you're conscious with that decision and you're conscious with the possible outcomes. And I think that is my key thing right now, is to educate that and to allow people to know that, and to take people through my experience, let people know if a fucking jab hurts, let people know if I get a mood swing, let people know if I get emotional, let people know if I can't get my dick up anymore. That is what I want to do. I want to do it honest, and I want to do it open, and I want people to learn from it, because there are people in my gym, for example, who complain to me every single week about them feeling sick. And by the way, they're taking steroids. They're feeling sick. They can't get their dick up. They don't find anyone attractive. They're emotional. They're crying for the first time, and they don't get a blood test done. Go fuck yourself. Really. You need to get this shit done. Be in command of your own health and well-being. Free blood tests, because they're going to give you everything. And that goes for people who don't take steroids. The people who don't take steroids, what happens if you're feeling a little bit weird for a long time? There are people who have thyroid problems, and many girls have thyroid problems. Underactive, overactive thyroid. You might need a supplement to bring that down. You might need to change your lifestyle to bring that down. The modern day man's testosterone is way lower than the average of 50 years ago. Way lower. This is what people don't understand. The ranges for testosterone right now are 8 nanomoles per liter to 29 nanomoles per liter. Last year when I did it, it was 33 nanomoles per liter from 8. So they've shortened that range again, because they're not trying to fight that, because normal is less. And in my opinion, why? I mean, if we look at the last 50 years, what's changed? We've got mobile phones in our hands the whole time. We've got laptops, all these different Wi-Fis and what do you call them? Emitting fucking blue lights and signals and shit food. We know that fucking shit food can help boost your estrogen and take down your testosterone. So, if you're eating a shit diet and you feel like shit, no wonder why. Lack of sleep. We live in a busy fucking world. There's always light. It can be daytime anywhere. Lack of sleep can lead to increase in estrogen and decreasing in testosterone for men, and for women it can just affect you exactly the same. There is so much in this world right now to make our life easy, but in fact it's when we make our lives a little bit harder, a little bit more challenging, the body needs to work better. If you're someone who does suffer from natural low testosterone, clean your diet up, eat really well. Eat so many fruits and vegetables that you don't know what to do with yourself. Train like a fucking horse. Get strong as fuck. Get lean. If you're fat, you're going to have an unbalanced hormone profile. You look back to 200 years ago, or maybe when we fend for ourselves, back when there was no such thing as society, we were all lean, mean machines. We ate good when we could, and we walked and we migrated and we stayed active, and this is how the body is meant to work. So now that we all sit in our ass and we watch I'm a Celebrity in the evening, don't get me wrong, I'm the same. We sit down way more. Everything is easy. We can order Uber Eats to our fucking door, instead of having to walk out and go get your meal. Life's getting easier, and it's affecting hormones and it's affecting things like that. So be wary of where you are naturally, and your hormones may be lower than you think they are, and don't fucking always listen to the NHS guidelines for things. They're not always right. Lovely jubbly. That was a rant. So yeah, I don't want to talk about gear anymore. I definitely don't want to make this all about gear always now that I'm doing it, because quite frankly, that isn't what interested me before I started taking it. I got so many more interests in this world. But I'm going to keep this fitness for today, which is very unlike my podcast to keep it fitness, but we will. So I want to talk about a long off-season protocol. And by long off-season, I mean probably above a year. Anything above a year, you could probably look to this protocol. Now, I think that everyone between competitions, depending how you do, of course, if you're at the pro level and you've got drugs involved, you can probably, you can obviously push the drugs harder, so you don't need to have as long an off season. But for any natural athletes out there and any other assisted athletes out there who need a significant amount of muscle, by the obviously, if you're a pro, you've probably got the muscle already. You probably only need to make a few kilo changes here and there. But if you're maybe just turning assisted, or maybe you've been assisted for a while, but you want to be a big bodybuilder, and you need to put in that time, this is a protocol you can follow. Everything needs to be focused about performance. The stronger you get, the more volume you get, the more muscle you're going to get. And then if we look at the absolute opposite of that, we have recovery. So training and recovery are all complete opposites, sympathetic versus parasympathetic. We need to train as hard as you can, but you need to recover just as hard as you can. Focus on sleep, focus on time off the gym, focus on keeping active while you recover. For example, today's my rest day. I've got 10,000 steps. I've got 30 minutes of cardio for my heart health, my heart and aerobic capacity, which actually helps performance. And then for the rest of the day, I'm going to chill. I'm going to foam roll. I'm going to take my supplements. I'm going to eat regular protein feedings, and I'm going to maximize my recovery capabilities. Now, there are a few things that we can look at in terms of a long off-season protocol that tell us when to pull back. Now, I think pulling back is the absolute key to a long off-season protocol. There is, as long as you can push up, while remaining presentable. Obviously, we don't want to get anyone too fat. That's just fucking stupid. It's inefficient. A healthy body will always gain muscle and lose fat better than any other body. So let's take average Joe, who's 12%. Let's take average Joe, who's 20%. The guy at 12% is most likely, not in all cases, of course, but most likely going to build muscle and burn fat a lot easier because he's healthier in terms of body fat. So remaining somewhat healthy has to be paramount, but we know that bodybuilding isn't a healthy sport, so you do need to push the boundaries at times. Body weight will help with leverages. Body weight will move more weight. So sometimes it is a case of just putting down the food and getting bigger. And if you're that person who can do that, then great. But you do get people who you just can't push like that. I've got a few clients that I just can't push them like that. They will gain too much fat, and I have to remain a lot slower with increments. And it's about recognizing that in yourself. For example, if you're someone who's pretty much always had abs, fairly lean, you're that guy. You're essentially that guy who could push quite hard. If you've always been an endomorph, maybe slightly fatter, maybe you're a podgy kid, you're probably not that guy. You probably need to stay a little bit leaner. But again, these are all individual and it can change. So pulling back, there will be biomarkers, biological markers, health markers that will skew, and you can pick up on these before maybe you can feel it. For example, let's go into these biomarkers. Blood glucose. So we have insulin sensitivity. As you're overloading carbohydrates over a long period of time, we know that insulin sensitivity can dwindle a little bit. Think of it as, let's say you've got so many receptors in your body to recept the carbohydrate. You are pounding those receptors 6 meals a day, every single day for 12 months. Odds are those receptors are going to get tired. Those receptors are going to start recepting as well. So your blood glucose, your fasted blood glucose, or your postprandial, which is post-workout, blood glucose may start to creep up. Now, we know with blood glucose, we want to stay around 5.2 nanomoles per liter and below. Anything higher is not great. It's not great any higher. And there's definitely something you need to address if it's higher than 5.2. Even that's quite high for me. So you need to work on either food choice, carb timing, fats with meals to slow down the digestion of carbohydrates. And there's a range of things that you can do. So blood glucose will start to creep up. And this is something that I would implement not straight away. If you just come out of a competition, you don't need to worry about your blood glucose for at least a few months. But after a few months, you can start taking a fasted reading 2 to 3 times a week on after a training day. Obviously after a training day, because food would probably be higher. So you can see how your body is dealing with that higher amount of food. And then you can compare that data as you go through the weeks. As maybe readings start to creep up, you can start taking it every day. And then if it gets too high, you need to do something. And if you change food initially, play around with being a bit fasted every now and again, and playing around with some blood glucose management techniques, and then those don't work, that would be a case of pulling back, as long as the other data is in place. Another thing would be weight. If you're just starting to gain a lot of weight and just not looking too good, you may just be in a place where your body is more predispositioned to build fat, or to put fat on your body rather than muscle. This will be a case to pull back straight away. Visually, a visual biomarker, that's the same thing as weight almost. You got to interchange those two, and you've got to ensure that both are kind of coinciding. Like if weight's going up, you want your visual to be going up, either fuller, bigger, just feeling like that man feel, when you're like, fuck. That's always a good biomarker as well. If you want to get a bit more technical, inflammation markers will rise when you've pushed it a little bit too hard. These can be done by a blood test. But not everyone wants to do blood tests, so you just kind of need to be managing inflammation the best you can. In my opinion, CBD is absolutely fantastic for inflammation. Curcumin is fantastic for inflammation, and I'd definitely recommend those. Another biomarker that may be affected is blood pressure. As you get heavier, there's more taxation on that circulatory system. So taking your blood pressure regularly is definitely a thing I would encourage. It's like £25 for a machine that's going to last you like 5 to 10 years, depending how you treat it. Which is just nothing really, is it? Let's face it. You don't want to go to the doctors every time and have them take your blood pressure. That's the only time I can remember I took my blood pressure before, and I'm sure 90% of you guys are the same. You only take it when you go to the doctors. Investing in a blood pressure monitor is very, very good. Blood pressure can be indicative of a lot of things. High blood pressure can be indicative of a lot of health issues. So noticing that creep up can be absolutely paramount. I would recommend doing it first thing in the morning, fasted. Obviously, as you start to do things, even things like going to the toilet can push your blood pressure up acutely. So doing it like fasted, maybe like go to the toilet in the morning, chill in bed for 5 minutes, then get it done. And you can see that creep up as well. And then other than that, guys, so much of when to pull back is intrinsic and how you're feeling that feedback. How are you feeling? All right? Like, are you out of breath on sets and doing cardio? That could be indicative of you just put on a bit too much weight and your body's not handling it well. Are you getting sore? So I was getting sore feet. I don't know whether that's because I was just too heavy. I don't know what it was, but like my feet started to hurt a little bit. Are you getting niggles? Now this is probably a big one. Are you getting not injuries, but just a bit like maybe overuse? Tendons getting a little bit sore. That could be another way for you to determine whether you should pull back. And when you do look to pull back, it's going to go as follows. And I would say this is pretty much general. Anyone could take this advice and apply it themselves. You want to get into a deficit pretty damn quick. None of this like slowly pulling down. That's a waste of time. You want to get the body fat gone. You want to be feeling good very, very fast. So I would honestly, let's take a man who is on 4,500 calories. They've been pushing very, very hard for very long. Or for a girl, 3,500 calories, whatever. You've been pushing hard for very long, and you're getting those feelings, and you're like, fuck me, I hate food. I can't even look at food. I can't stomach food. Digestion's poor. More internal biomarkers there. Time to pull back. Drop 1,000 calories. Honestly. I would just drop 1,000 calories straight off. What's going to happen? You're going to lose weight. You're going to feel better. Your training performance is going to go up. Your aerobic capacity is going to go up because you've got less weight to move, which means you're going to move more weight. And yes, this is a period of time where you can gain muscle and lose fat. 3,500 calories, after dropping 1,000, that's chilling. As long as you're prioritizing carbohydrates, you're getting 600 grams of carbs there. No questions asked. 600 grams of carbs. If you're not going to grow off that, you've got a mental barrier. And that's one thing that I noticed with one of my clients recently. Jake Guest. I don't know if he's gonna listen to this, but if he does, what's going on, man? But he's a perfect example. We had to pull calories hard now, and we're pulling hard. But he has progressed and progressed and progressed. Yes, some retain. Yes, it gets harder, but it's a fucking mindset. It's a mindset. So once you start to pull back down, that training is what is going to change your body. I can't tell you how important training is when you're looking to lose weight and retain muscle. I've got two guys right now, two natural guys, Tom Day and George Farrell. They're both just fucking beasts, you know? I've barely changed either of their calories. George is on nearly 4,000 calories. Tom is on a good amount of calories. And all that is changing for these guys is nothing, literally. Yeah, we move steps, maybe up 1,000 here and there, just to get an extra few calories out a day. In Tom's case, he's got a little bit more body fat, so we push a little bit harder. But you know what? We really make little changes because they're working like beasts in the gym. And that training performance is increasing with weight loss, and calorie output with training performance is going up. Therefore, deficit is increasing without having to change the food, which is actually the perfect scenario for anyone. So that is the main bulk of the podcast done. Podcast. Now to do some questions, some fan questions, some of your questions. Now, lots of these, as you can imagine, are about steroids. So I'm going to use the ones which, some will be about steroids, but I'm going to try to stay away from those because we did talk a lot about steroids. One question is, how's your experience with recreational drugs made you more comfortable with starting PEDs? I don't think it had any kind of effect on it whatsoever. Here's my reasoning. Because if you take weed, coke, pills, ketamine, whatever it is, that experience is over in the day. That's it. It's done. The next day, it's out your system. You don't feel it anymore. I mean, not out your system, but you don't feel it anymore. With performance enhancing drugs, that's not the case. That's not the case. You know, you take testosterone, that thing, it's not out your system for 10 days. You know, we take one shot of it, it's not out your system for 10 days. Obviously, I've taken 2 shots of it now, so it's a bit longer. But it was more that this is a commitment to taking a drug. This is me saying, okay, I'm going to be injecting this now for the foreseeable future. It could be a year, it could be 2 years, could be 3 years, could be up to 5 years that I'll be taking this stuff. So it wasn't a case of I've taken a pill before, so I'm less likely to worry about what the drugs are going to do, because this is actually long-term use rather than just love saves the day and having a pie. What do I take to optimize sleep? This is a very good question. Currently, I take CBD from Love Hemp. You can get a discount with Josh20. Plug. Cannabidiol is a very, very nice sleep supplement. It reduces anxiety. Essentially, just puts you into a calm state. It doesn't necessarily make you sleepy. It just allows you to relax, which might be enough to help you sleep off. I also take zinc. I also take selenium. I also take magnesium. That comes in one supplement. All of those things really help me sleep as well. What else do I take? Most of it's in routine, you know, like most of it is actually routine. I don't take necessarily direct sleep supplements. Like I don't take magnesium, selenium, and CBD to sleep. I actually take them for reducing inflammation and getting myself into a nice parasympathetic state, which is essentially a recovery state. I don't take them to sleep. I think my sleep is in my routine. I come into my room, I turn off all the lights, I've got blackout blinds. After I've had a hot shower, I sit in my bed, you know, I watch a video with my blue light blockers on, and I just relax. And then I'll spend 5 to 10 minutes just laid on my back, fully relaxing everything, and I'm probably gone. Like I'm gone by then. So it's all about the setup. It's all about the routine. I go to sleep at the same time. I wake up at the same time. My body knows that. It's about learning that. Trust me, your body is a clock. If you go to sleep at 10 and you wake up at 8, for 4 weeks, 5 weeks, your body will just do that naturally. You won't even need an alarm. So something I do is have an app called Sleep Cycle. It tracks all my sleep. It's probably not like 100% accurate. I know I get a lot of hate on Instagram for it because I always put up and it says 100%. Oh, how does it track you? You haven't got a heart rate monitor on. It tracks, it tracks movement, it tracks sounds, it tracks breathing rate, all that kind of stuff, so it can kind of get you a decent thing. The one thing is I use it every single night, so I can see when I've had a bad night's sleep. It might not be an accurate percentage, but I know that if it's gone down from my normal percentages, then it's not. I've obviously had a bad night's sleep, and I genuinely feel the difference when my percentage on sleep cycle goes down. So it's about becoming in tune with yourself. Like I can correlate that data with how I'm feeling internally, and that generally helps me a lot. Thoughts on people saying any progress you make now is due to the anabolics. This was one of the biggest problems I had in my head about anabolics. I was thinking, whenever I get shredded again, people are going to just say, oh, it's just the anabolics. And for those of you guys who follow me, you know how shredded I get. Like I get crazy veins in my abs. I get thick skin abs and paper thin skin everywhere. And I couldn't face when I was making the decision. I was like, fuck, these people are just going to be like, oh, it's the Anavar, oh, it's the test, oh, it's this. And all that did really, in reality, was hurt my ego. And that was it. It's my ego. It's how I'm letting these people affect me. It doesn't actually, I don't give a fuck. Like, it doesn't make a difference if someone says, oh, this is from steroids. Like, okay, fine, then do it. Come train with me, do it. The amount of people that tell me that I'm fake natural and have been taking steroids for the last 2 years, they don't do the shit I do, man. Like, come train with me. Come train with me and see what I put everything on the line every single session. I recover harder than anyone. I do everything always. There is no let up. There is no slips. There are no mistakes. It's just done. And it has been for years. So all it was ego. All it was ego that was attaching me to that worry of what people thought. Honestly, my girlfriend helped me so much. She was just like, no, this is the case. And obviously, like there's always those internal battles, but getting those external thoughts and processes from people that you love, like they're the people that I care about. I care what my girlfriend thinks. I care what my mum thinks. I care what my housemate thinks. I care what all my brothers think. All my good mates think. I don't need to worry about as horrible as this sounds. And I love you guys. I don't need to worry about what you guys think of me. As viewers, as fans, because it doesn't. I don't get anything from it other than self-praise, my fans love me, this is so nice, or my fans hate me, this is shit, like both of those dictate my mood, but I personally don't feel like they should. I feel like what I do in my life, what I achieve, has to be for myself. I think that's how you get the most self-fulfillment out of it. And ego and letting yourself attach to what people say to you it can be good, but it is majoritarily bad. And I do think that reading some of those good comments that you get, honestly, like that's motivation for me as well. So there's not me dispelling all of you guys. I do care what you think, but just not. Like when I put a poll out on Instagram, should I take steroids, yes or no? Like I'm not doing that seriously. Like I just wanted to see what you guys think. I can't take that advice on board for big decisions like this. For other things, 100%. But for big life-changing decisions, things that affect my life but no one else's life, I don't think that you should be taking all of these opinions on board. It should just be you, your close-knit circle. And that's that. Like I'm going for the Olympia, guys. I'm here. I'm here to essentially to win the Olympia one day. Like I'm putting plans in place now for that 5 to 10 year plan, whatever it is. I'm here to work. And that's that. What people think of me, people are going to think of me regardless. This life is too short to worry. So I'll do me, and you guys do you. And I fucking love you guys for supporting me this whole way. So hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. This was a long one. I'm going to try to get these out a little bit more regularly. It's been about a month. So we'll see you guys soon. Peace and love always. YouTube video coming tonight. Goodbye.